Emotionally Unavailable.
Welcome to Emotionally Unavailable, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of emotional availability and intimacy. I'm your host, Melissa Hepner, and I can't tell you how excited I am to have you join me on this journey of self-discovery and connection. Whether you're navigating the complexities of relationships or exploring your own emotional landscape, this podcast is here to inspire, empower, and entertain. So get cozy and let's explore the depths of human emotions together. Hey guys, today's episode is with dating coach Paige Dempsey. She is, she's a dating and relationship coach, but she coaches on dating, divorce, life, relationships. She's direct, empathetic. She's a feminist and a 3-time certified life coach. She got all kinds of stuff going on. I will make sure to include her links in the show notes, but this is a really fun conversation. We were really vibing and just really like upbeat, like talking to your oldest girlfriend, and we had such a good time. So I don't know, can't wait for you to hear it. Hope you guys are doing well. I'm doing well. Got to teach a class at OU this week, which was really cool. So shout out to if I got any new listeners from that class. That made me very happy. So anyways, enjoy this episode with me and Paige.
Emotionally Unavailable.
Hi.
Hi. Oops, let me get hi.
I'm so sorry. This is the most annoying computer because it automatically will put your mouse up. It's trying to do it again. Let me put my mouse down. I'm going to turn this mouse off, actually. It just closed it out because I sat down. It was being rude to me, and I'm going to move the mouse away and not touch it. There we go.
I'm annoyed because I have a good speaker, but it's not connecting. Like,
do you hear me okay? Because you sound great right now.
Okay, yeah. I'll just try one more time, and if that doesn't work, let's see. I don't know. Okay, well, it's like not even showing up, so I'll have to mess around with that later. And then my light just fell. Hold on. Oh my goodness, where are you at?
Oklahoma. What about you?
Omaha, Nebraska. So not too far.
Oh, we're both. Well, I don't. There's been a big debate about whether or not Oklahoma's the Midwest. Is Nebraska considered Midwest?
Like we're the most Midwest. Yeah.
Okay, thought so. What do you think about Oklahoma? Do you think that's South or Midwest?
I'd have probably said more Southern or Southern Midwest. I don't know because it just has a different
feel. I would say you go to rural Oklahoma, it's gonna feel pretty Southern.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel as Midwest cornfield as much as it does just
some of the other things you can get. It is really nice to meet you. I looked at the note that you left in the booking thing about being a feminist relationship coach, right?
Yeah, and I do owe you an apology. I really did not spend much time. Like, I did not do my due diligence getting ready for this.
No. I don't ever.
Okay,
I love it that way. Honestly,
yeah.
I like natural, organic conversation. I don't do very much research on my guest because whatever the hell I'm in the mood for that day is kind of where it goes. You know what I mean? And we've already had calamity.
Yeah, so. What's your thing's emotionally unavailable? Do you know kind of like who's listening or what's kind of the vibe? Can we cuss? Can we be real?
Oh, baby, we're gonna cuss every other word. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Spiritual folk. Baby, you're in the right place. You're exactly where you belong. I promise. That's why I don't ever look until right before because I can get a little nervous sometimes depending on what it is the person does. I don't know why. Certain things just make me like, oh, what if they don't like? I don't know. It's a weird thing. But I got really excited when I saw feminist relationship coach. And I've had a lot of relationship people on recently. That's a thing in my life where I will have kind of the same theme between all of my like recordings and my therapy clients each week. Like this week will be relationships, the next week will be whatever. So I love that. But why I was so excited about it is because my attachment to feminism is relatively new because I mean, that's what the show is about, really, not feminism, but about my journey to becoming emotionally available. And then meeting all of these people and discussing my shit and their shit and what they do and how we're impacting the world. Like, it's about finding yourself, like finding your light, being the light for others. And for me personally, as a woman, I was so disconnected from my feminine, from anything that made me a woman, like really disconnected. And I think that that is so much related to the emotionally unavailability. Like I wasn't allowed to see it. You know what I mean? Like all of that internalized misogyny was just like, and I didn't like women. I really didn't. I struggled in friendships and relationships. I mean, I've never been the boy girl. I didn't have like a bunch of boy best friends or anything, but you know how like women are socialized to connect through talking shit or complaining, like straight up shit talk about another woman or complaining. And that was my entire life. Every connection I had was spent talking shit. So kind of working through that's been a big deal, because the celebration that I feel for every woman now, and I'm just so excited that there's people specifically doing what you're doing, because you know, I mean, I call myself a feminist and whatever, but like I'm not specifically in that niche.
Are you a therapist in training?
Do what?
Are you a therapist too? You said therapy clients. Yeah, wow, good for you.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm an LCSW.
People along. Say again.
I'm an LCSW.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, social work is a great. I mean, one of my best friends is a gay guy who's a social work therapist.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I think it's really great.
I love social work. Yeah. I for myself, it was the right path versus other like counseling roads. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Because when I read the thing that you wrote in the booking, it was like about helping women to stop saying, why is this happening to me? Like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah,
I just watched somebody crying on the internet last night. I swear to God, this was one of the very last things I saw on TikTok before I went to sleep last night. This poor girl, and I had to physically stop myself from responding to her, but she was bawling because she's in a situationship. And he did the thing where he like, you know, breadcrumbed her, got her back in, and then wrote her this mile-long text about how much he's working on himself and whatever. She shows up to the gym and he arrives with another girl, not knowing that she was going to be there. And she was bawling so hard. Like I could feel her pain. It was very palpable. And she just like, why do men keep doing this to me over and over and over? Like, what's wrong with me?
I see that stuff all the time. And like, once you get on the other side of it, it's hard to unsee. You can't unknow what you know, right? And so I see these young women going like, "Oh, it's me," and that was me, probably. That was me as well. But
it was me, baby. It was me.
You know, or I'll go on like I'm in some Facebook groups, either local female groups or a mom group or a dating over whatever age group, and people start, what do you think, about this dating situation they're in? And I'm like, I can get to like line 3 and I already know. I'm like, I can just stop you right there. Even though there's a whole other explanation. And so it's, I have a feminist coaching certification, and I always tell people I'm a feminist, but that certification is not about how to be a feminist, but it was like dismantling all the shit that we've been taught our whole lives. And it's so many contradictions that people don't realize, that you're supposed to be sexy but not too sexy. You're supposed to like not have sex till marriage, but you're supposed to have sex before marriage. But if you have sex before marriage, you're a whore. But if you wait till after marriage,
but you don't be too wild in bed, but you better be up to what I'm wanting to be up to. All kinds of shit.
It's just fucking exhausting, right? And there is no, I think women, I mean, this is just what I see, again, just from the outside observer. I mean, again, myself included sometimes, but I think less as I've gotten older, is you're not a person. You're 27 different people, depending on like, you're one person of the PTA, you're one person to your kids, you're one person to your spouse, you're one person at work. And I'm like, what if we could just integrate and be one person? And, because we are taught from when we are young that women are the people pleasers and women are the like take care of things and
Serve
women
to your own demise.
Yep, and you almost don't even exist. So back to the girl that you saw crying on TikTok, I just want to be like, sis, like it isn't you. Like, and I like in coaching, I'm like, it's just part of the process. And I know that sucks because maybe they were together for 6 months or a year, but I'm like, the ghosting, the whatever. I'm like, if you can just take out your own emotion out of it and you're just watching, like, it's like the conveyor belt going by. I'm like, this is just part of the process. This is how this is going. And I think you just have to unattach yourself from the outcome a lot of times. Like,
yeah, but I mean, this is
not taking everything personally.
Because their fear of rejection, abandonment, and loss is so strong that if they can find a way to make this person approve of them, accept them, love them, and call them special, then all of their life's work is complete, because that's the whole goal anyway, is to feel that. That's the reason we do all the dumb shit, to keep these dumbasses around when we need to let them go, because we're going to protect ourselves from loss, abandonment, rejection at all times. And like, I know that I did so much of that, and only in the last, I mean, I'm married and have been for a long time. This is my second marriage though. And I mean, shit, those first, whatever, a lot of years until recently, really, and like through my own healing and stuff, was just everything was about me. But granted, I mean, I think that's the human experience. And once you realize, like, well, duh, it's about you. This is your world and they're just living in it. But like, how can we see the humanity in ourselves so that we can see it in others, so that we can go, oh, they're scared too. That's why they're acting like a jackass. But that doesn't mean that I need to fix them. I don't have to go and fix all their problems and make them worthy. And like with my clients, I'm like, okay, well, let's talk logic. If we put any man in front of you and gave them the top 3 of your favorite qualities, they're going to work, right? Well, that's what you're doing in this relationship, is like, if only, honey, they're just not meant for you. Like, let's go deal with the pain of separation for 5 minutes versus a year of situationship with this dude.
Yeah. And, here's something I learned way, way, way too late on my coaching, journey, is that, we talk about self-love. Well, I mean, we could talk about that for hours as well. Self-love is not just getting a pedicure or like having a massage. No. That doesn't fix the inside. But the fixing of the inside means when you're in a situationship, if you love yourself, you can't always outsource your self-worth to other people, because then it's always changing. In the morning, they were nice on text, and in the evening, they weren't nice on text. And so then your whole day is ruined. And it's like, no, if you can center yourself and not be in the whims of other people's drama, wants, emotions, it's just a lot calmer existence, which is not to say there aren't highs and lows, but I'm not just like, oh my God, he texted. Oh my God, he didn't text. Like, it's like, that's the part about self-love that really I wish every girl and woman could have, because I'm more steady and stable and not as prone to like, oh, my mom's being, bitchy today, whatever. Well, you know what? She's like that a lot. So I don't.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with me.
I don't take it in.
I mean, but see, that's where we started way back when we became hypervigilant little girls, predicting everyone's needs and routines in the house so that we kept ourselves safe, because most of us had fucking psycho moms. Sorry, boomers suck. And, we didn't know how to keep ourselves safe. That was the only way to do it. Be aware. Okay, so then we're learning how to like read nuance into a text. Like this text doesn't have to be that serious. But I think, to your point about self-love, I think the evolution for me and where I landed was, because listen, it still happens. To where I overanalyze or whatever. But I shift center and I say, here's what I know. Nothing outside of me affects my worth and value as a human. Nothing. And so when I can center in that and I say, people choose me because I choose myself, I'm back in that energy. And I'm like, okay, now what is this actually? This is somebody having an off day that has nothing to do with me.
Right. Right. I'm thinking of that young woman again that you're talking about. Another tip that I use or tool that I use, and I don't know if you use this with your clients too, is even in myself when I'm worked up about something, is like if you just neutralize the situation, or if the girl's going, how could he do this to me or whatever? Well, how could he do it to you? Let's like imagine. Well, if you think of it that way, 99% of it has nothing to do with you. He's immature.
Right.
It's like not about you. And so I think sometimes when we think, well, why is my mom like that? Or why is this guy like that? Or why did my boss do that? And just you spin in uncertainty. If you just actually pause and go, well, boyfriend did that, or situationship did that, or mom said this, or boss said that. Like, why does that? How does that make sense? Like, literally just give it some airtime. And then you're like, oh, yeah, I get it. I don't like it, but then you're in a better place to respond.
Right.
Like empowerment than, blah, 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 I think the other word you said that I wanted to hit on too is the word rejection.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this has been a very long journey for me. I mean, I can't even imagine dating me when I was younger at this point because I'm sure I was very anxiously attached. But I read a book one time. This is not a relationship book. It's about like, I think the book's actually called What Should I Do With My Life? And a guy was talking about, he applied to college and he didn't get into the one he wanted. And he had to go to like a community college and then go back to the college you wanted to go to. And his thing that always has stuck with me, and I read this years and years and years ago, was I reject your rejection. He's like, I'm coming to your school, but it's not quite the same. But again, as I've gotten older, I just don't think about people rejecting me. Like if that wasn't a thought process that you could have, what would it be instead? And if I go out on a date, if I date somebody for 6 weeks, like enough time to get to know him, but enough time to be like, yeah, yes, no, whatever. And if he would say, or I would say, so nice, great time, not a good fit, like that to me, I would never put in a box of rejection. It's not even close. It's just
now you wouldn't, but was there a time you would have? Because my anxiously attached ass absolutely would have.
Yeah, probably.
I didn't like him and would have still been trying to make it work. I would have been like, I'm not really that into him, but I really need him to be into me because that's the only way I can get any fucking validation in life is for him to be into me. And so I'm like working all the hard to get him into me. I don't fucking like him at all. And yet it matters so much.
I don't know. It looks, I'm guessing you and I are about the same age. So I actually just wrote my blog this morning. That's going to go out in a little bit. And even when I was younger, like this was the days of like Match.com before there was swiping on apps. So for the old people out there listening, I would see like a guy's profile. I mean, even on a profile, I'd be like, oh, I could marry him.
Yes.
Are you fucking kidding me? You don't even know this asshole. Like, but I see so many women and girls still doing this. And I'm telling you, stop doing it. I'll be in like a girls' Facebook group. Oh my God, I met the most amazing guy. That guy is so amazing. And then they list 37 things about him that they don't like. And then I'll be like, how long have you been dating? Well, just a couple of weeks. You don't even know this person, or a couple of months. Like, they are not amazing. They're just humans and they have a lot of bad flaws. And, this is why the attachment hurts so bad, or the rejection hurts so bad, is because you've already married yourself to somebody that you haven't even spent 3 weeks with yet.
Right. Oh my God, that is such a good point, and not one that I have thought that much about, but you are so right. How much forward projecting you're doing, and it's all you projecting. The only things that you like about yourself that aren't conscious are being projected on this person, and you're just like creating this whole scenario of how great it is based off potential. Yeah. And again, everybody's got potential, but that doesn't mean anybody's living up to it or what you deem as potential. Like, what if that person does have their perfect match at their perfect level where they are, and they don't need you coming trying to get them all sorted out? Like, let's stop trying to fix each other and doing all that all because we want to be accepted.
Yeah, and the meme that's like, I'm not looking for potential. I want you to come to me already potential.
Yes.
I mean, I think women we live in so much fantasy of what it could be, and he's so amazing. And it's like, come back down to fucking reality. So here's how I date now. I go out with somebody for like an hour. It's like you get an hour tops because if the vibe is off, it is off, and I don't need to be at a 3-hour dinner, and then the next one, and then I just keep deciding, do I want to see him for another hour?
I
Do
like
I want to see
that.
him? Like, do I want to see him one more time? That's all you need to know. I don't need to know if we're going to be dating in 3 months. I don't need to know if we're going to be dating in 3 years, because chances are, about third or fourth go around, you'll be like, no, I actually don't want to see him again. And it's just like not a big
Right.
loss, because I'm just like, I'm not overly attached myself to somebody that I don't really know.
Right. And that's where all the pain stems from, is over attachment and over analyzing. And like, baby, you don't need to be dating. You need to go fix your shit, because if you are already future projecting, making this person the love of your life, the answer to all of your problems, you need help. You know what I mean?
The call's coming from inside the house.
Exactly. That's why
Okay.
my clients that are in relationships, even marriages, when they bitch about their spouse, I'm like, okay, I don't care. That has nothing to do with you. Like,
Yeah.
yes, like we can work through a specific conflict, but like if that's all the conversation is, I'm like, I feel you, but like, let's talk about you. What are you avoiding? If you're up here in some thought spiral about this other person, you're avoiding your heart. What are you feeling? Let's get down to it. What happened? What was triggered? Okay, is that their fault? No.
Okay, I'm gonna piggyback on that, because you're doing therapy with partnered people or marriage, and I'm talking to the women who are dating. Again, I'll see women in the Facebook group. So this guy that I've been seeing for a while does this, and this. What do you think? And I'm like, fucking talk to him. Like, this is why we have communication issues. Like, I don't know.
Why are you
maybe have
asking
an
the
adult
internet?
fucking conversation with the guy who does a thing that you don't like, and then that's how you build. I mean, in some ways, we've been dating for a year, we've been dating 9 months, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I mean, I don't know. I guess as I've gotten older and more direct and more IDGAF, I'm just like,
Oh,
if something comes up, I got a question, I ask it. That's another thing I like to
yes,
say. The way you get direct answers is you ask direct questions. And
that's
like
exactly right.
mulling around on the internet asking strangers for their input with their life story and their history and their opinions.
They're
It's
wounding.
crazy. They're what?
Mhm. They're wounding. I mean, that's
Yeah.
where all of those opinions are based off, is the fact that they are also wounded. And it does drive me a little crazy, even though like I talk a lot about what a psycho dater I was. I mean, just psycho. I was the reason the movie How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days was written. I mean, I was that character
I
so
need to go
hard.
back and watch that.
Oh, you do, because you're gonna be like, for real, you did all that? And I did it all of it, like immediately, just all in. I can't believe my husband married me, honestly. Like I don't even know, but I was a psycho, but it was all just like the same stuff perpetuate even after we were married. I don't feel like you love me. I don't feel like you
Right.
see me. I don't feel
Right.
like, but enough,
Right.
because it was all in here. I just needed to fix myself. But
Yeah.
I mean, how many times are people going, maybe not to the internet, but to their friends who have all this lovely advice and whatever? And it's like, dude, you just need to work on yourself a
Yeah.
lot. And that's literally the only way to ever be able to have any sort of successful relationship, is to know who you are. But I loved your point about like, you say what you mean and mean what you say. I think that does come with age. And that's been like a real evolution for me to be exactly who I am, no matter who I'm got in front of me. Like, that's why I call myself a non-traditional therapist, because I talk to them the way I talk to you, to my kids. Like, I don't change who I am at all, no matter what. Like, I want to be who I am in every moment. And I can imagine what that would look like in the dating world now, because I wouldn't be like trying to perfectly craft responses like I used to. And
Right.
I would just be like, what is that? Like, oh, red flag. And I'm not going to try to hold on to anybody who's not meant for me. Whether that's a friend or whoever, like if they're not meant for me, they're not. And that doesn't have shit to do with me. And I can let them go from a place of love and compassion for myself. Just like I wish you the best. It's not working for me. Like, I've had to do that with friendships recently, and you just lovingly release people. And that's that. It doesn't have to be some dramatic thing.
This is how we call in our people, though, and it's the thing about, writing the perfect text message and how should I respond? It's like the reason we have so much consternation about that is we're trying to control and manage the other person's feelings and emotions and a response. I'm like, what if we just cut out all that and we were just both ourselves? Like, then we would know exactly this is a good fit or not. But this is the problem. I think women do so much shift shaping and bending to like be with the guy. I think of this too. Do you ever know women that are like, first they're into golf, then they're into sports, then they're into pickleball, then they're into what? And I'm like, you're just, it's like Julia Roberts in Runaway Bride. Like, she's like, I don't know what kind of eggs I like, because she always wanted the eggs of the guy she was dating, you know? I was wondering what sort of made the transition for you to like your self journey of going, oh, that to this, especially being a therapist yourself.
Okay, so actually, I've been licensed for a while, and I got my master's in 2007, but I wasn't a therapist that whole time. My background is in hospice social work, and I did that forever. I still do a tiny bit of bereavement, a little bit every week, but not like face to face. I just make the calls. But I was in education for 7 years. Like, I tried being a teacher, it didn't work. And so then I was a school counselor. But I reached burnout, like we do, and went through a pretty severe mental health crisis and was like, what am I doing? Because I was so afraid to leave that job and not have security and whatever. Like, yes, I'm married, and thank God I have his support, but I was just so scared to take a step like that. But I had to, because I was just dying inside. So I quit that job in May, started this podcast, opened a private practice, but I was going through some real healing and also had a spiritual awakening around that time. And a podcast guest told me about this book called The Finding Peace Workbook. And I was really able to work through all of my attachment woundings, and then like just like all my subconscious shame and the narratives that are like attached to that. And when I got really solid on those things, what I understood was there is very little difference between me and everyone else in this world. We are all walking around saying the same things to ourselves, and we've internalized the same shit, male or female, straight, gay, whatever. We're walking around saying the same shit to ourselves. And that's really, I think that allowed some of the spirituality to kind of like evolve too, just to understand like what I feel like I'm here for, what I feel like humans in general are here for, what are relationships actually meant to be, and how can I see the humanity in myself so that I can see it in others too. And I don't take your shit personally anymore, because I know my shit's not personal to you. It's about me. It's not about you. So I'm always like, it's my world and you're just living in it, and it's your world and I'm living in it, and we're just colliding and we're just trying to make that work, and it's going to be messy. And the evolution for me, even very recently, is it's okay to be messy too. Like embracing exactly who you are in any given moment, and understanding you're perfect exactly in that moment, that you don't have to strive to continue to change and become an even better version of yourself. I mean, yeah, hopefully you continue to grow and evolve, but like who you are right now is so good and valuable and worthy of love and belonging. And I don't know, I just affirm that decision every opportunity I get, so that I'm not taking shit personally. Does it still happen? Sure. I've been taking prednisone because I had a horrible time getting over the flu, and it is wrecking my sleep, and I have PMS. I woke up a giant bitch this morning, but got my shit together, you know what I mean? And it was just like, okay, we're good. But yeah, I took a couple things personally this morning. That's going to happen. It's going to happen, and it's not that serious, where I can just be like, pause. But everything was kind of a catastrophe before, because I was
like, the pause is the thing. I want to make one little comment on something you said that I agree with, but I want to put like a little twist on. You know, we're all walking around with the same shitty feelings. A lot of us, you know, he's a male, female, black, white, you know, gay, straight. I think some men are. I know some men are. I think a lot of men aren't. And that's part of the disconnect, because as women, we spend all day, many of us, every day, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong with me. I should have said this, I should have done that. It wasn't good enough. My project wasn't good enough. And I don't think a lot of men do that, honestly. And think of the emotional energy we waste ruminating, shaming, you know, when the guy's just like,
right,
bro, I don't know what's like.
Well, I think most men have a core, they're like, their core fear of rejection and loss just outweighs anything else. I think women have a more conscious, Like, we're pretty aware of the fact that we want to be perfect and that we want to do everything right. I think men have it. I just don't think they're aware of it, and they're very content to avoid any feeling. And I think that they are much more prone to avoiding those shame narratives than we are. Like, we'll internalize all of that, and they're like, no, couldn't be me, you know. But I think they're there. I really do, because I don't work with a lot of men. It's not my thing, but I do work with a couple, and you know, I don't find them to be a lot different than me. When you get boiled down to it, beneath all the bullshit, they do have it. It's just nothing that they're aware of. But like, when I work through their attachment wounding with them, it's right there like everybody else. And you can pull anyone in when you start to be like, we all feel this, like we all feel invisible. We all feel too much and not enough all at the same time. That seems to be more of a woman thing, the too much and not enough. But the weight of the world's on my shoulders alone. No one's ever going to help me. You know, no one's here to help me carry it always. But so much of that is more present in women because of the types of emotional neglect that we experienced in childhood. Because we weren't just told to rub some dirt on it and walk it off like maybe our brothers were, because they were too. But we were also then put in like familial responsibility roles too. So like, you had to rub dirt on it, walk it off, and go be a grown up to take care of
when you were 10.
Your parents, your siblings, your grandparents, the neighbor, if that's what your family was into, you know, whatever it was, serve to your own demise.
Yeah. And then go make sure your brother feels okay too. And by the way, bring him a cookie, you know.
Apologize to him for hurting his feelings. Yes.
Yeah.
Man, the sibling shit between me and my little brother. Woo. I've had to figure that shit out because it was lifelong, and he's only a year younger than me. But yeah, the types of support that I was like encouraged to provide for my brothers, because I'm the girl. I mean, I'm so glad to see like all these eldest daughter people just rising up, because I'm like, I feel you, dog. I feel you. It is a fucking heavy burden. It is heavy, because I get it. I mean, now as a mom, especially, I have 2 boys and a girl, and the girl's the last one, and very different, very, very different. And I can see how, if you're an emotionally immature person who's carrying around all those same narratives I was, how like somebody who's willing to take your shit from you and help, I can see how it can happen. I can have compassion for the experience of those mothers. I don't like excuse any of it, but like, I can see how it happens. But that's how we continue to put ourselves in front of men, women, whoever, and ask them to validate our existence, because like, that's what we did as kids.
Yeah. I just think back to what you had said, and I guess I'm, you know, seconding, is like, it's so much stuff is not personal. It's just not personal, and it feels personal. And we get our brains into these gymnastics about how it's personal, and well, it's that tone and these words. And it's like, yeah, but you can just pretend that it's not. And then like, you just feel better.
It's so true.
I say this kiddingly, especially for like younger clients that I work with, but I think again, you and I are about the same age. You know, when we were on the playground, like, I'm rubber and you're glue, and anything you say bounces off me and sticks to you. So it's like, you know, if your mom or your brother or whoever says something shitty, I'm just like, you just don't have to receive it all the time.
Right.
You can just not receive it, or not all of it, you know, so that when something bigger happens, then you're like, no shit, now my alarm's going off a little bit, you know?
Right. Well, and you can sit in the hurt of somebody saying something shitty to you for a minute, and then you get your shit together and you go, yeah, if I said that to someone else, I don't think that I would be saying that from a place of truth. I'd say that because I was pissed, or because I was scared, or you know what I mean? Like, it's not that serious, but we do put so much emphasis on the words and behaviors of others. And if we can just shift to the words and behaviors of ourselves, but again, the more you know yourself, the more you see yourself in everyone around you. And then you can understand. I don't tell my clients stuff like trying to explain their partner's perspective because I want them to excuse the behavior. I want them to stop letting it hurt their damn feelings all the time.
Yeah.
Like, why is that hurt you? Like, but I even went to see one of my best friends. Was hanging out with her a couple weeks ago, and she was in a thing with her partner, and I was like, I mean, I feel you, super right, understand, but you do understand there are people who could have that exact same experience and not take that shit personally.
Yeah.
Like,
Did she
you
get
do
that?
have
I think there's a lot of
responsibility
people
here.
who get
Yes.
that.
Yes. Well, I was really good at my delivery. I carried her to the water. You know what I mean? I landed that line at the exact right time, and it was perfect. But she was like, oh, I see what you're saying now, because you get so insular and you're like, no, but this is my experience and they weren't listening to me and blah blah blah. And I'm like, or they were just really excited with you and didn't know how to pause and let you continue to say what you were wanting and whatever. But that's not them communicating they don't love you. It's not them communicating they don't want to hear you. They fucked up a little bit. He got excited. Like, it's not that, like, it's not, it felt real big to you. And that's okay. But it's also okay to deflate that balloon a little bit and let it go, because it's no longer that big. You have a different understanding of that now. Let your ego rest. You can be a little bit wrong, move forward. But I mean, she had taken it so fucking seriously. And I was like, I would too, but also 10 minutes later is when you got to go, I might have overreacted about that. Don't fucking double down,
Yeah. I like the idea. One of the things I learned from my coaching work is this concept of like, what else could be true? So in your case, if she's like, blah, 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 and he's not listening or not listening the way she thinks he should be listening, if you could just, again, pause and get yourself centered for a minute, and be like, well, what else could be true? Well, I mean, he might be ADHD. He might be neurodivergent. He might be distracted from a long day. It might have been like the kids were screaming on his leg. Like, I mean, even I do that with my own kids sometimes. I will pause. Like I'm an older mom with younger kids. I have a toddler and a tween, and the toddler might be, needing some attention, and the tween's trying to I go, William, read the room. Like, I can't have a meaningful conversation with you. Like, I'm trying to buckle my toddler in, which is like wrestling an alligator.
Oh, baby, I do know.
On the front seat, and I'm sweating, and I'm like, William, like, but not everybody can say what they need right when they need it. That takes practice too. So
yes, exactly. But that's your responsibility, right? Is to learn to say what you need and ask for it. Allow yourself the permission to gain the access to the things you need. You can do that, but how scared are we to just say what we need? That's something I still struggle with my husband. Even I was real bad about the hinting, like, I'm gonna throw a suggestion out 75 times, hoping that you're gonna pick it up, and then pissed that you didn't, because I was fucking scared to ask. What the hell?
This just reminded me, like a poet, like a little poet who does like little things on Instagram. This always stuck with me too. It's just a little like quote or whatever. That's like, if you need more time to see how you feel about a thing, give yourself more time to see how you feel about a thing. And I think that's so important too, because sometimes you're like pissed and you don't know why. Yep. And you don't always have to respond right away either and go, well, this made me mad because this and it. Like, sometimes you need a little space to go, wait a minute, was I having an off day, or does this really offend me because of how I grew up? Or is this, I don't feel heard? And like, you can also ask for more time to get clear on what you're thinking or what you're feeling.
Yeah. I mean, I think that knee-jerk reaction is what we're all so guilty of. And I even still do it too. But if we can get to a place where we go, that hit something, I'm going to have to get back with you. And that's what I work really hard to do with everyone now is, I'm not going to put any responsibility on you, but I am going to tell you I have a target right in this betrayal area that you hit really quickly. And I need to go work through why that particular feeling is what's coming up for me. It's not your fault. And that's what I teach people is like, there's a big difference between the statements, I feel betrayed and you betrayed me, or I feel neglected or you're neglecting me. Like, you can feel whatever, but it doesn't fucking mean it's fact. Doesn't mean that at all. And you are responsible to figure it out. It's nobody else's responsibility. But we don't know that, because this is where it gets tricky for women specifically, is we weren't even given agency over our bodies as children. We're the ones asked to hug every relative that you come into contact with as children. How many times you have a little girl, so I don't know if you've experienced this yet, how many times do strangers, boomers, real good at it, walking up to tell your little girl how pretty they are? Well, when my daughter was really little, I made her say thank you. And now I have taught her, if you want to say thank you, say thank you. If you don't, it's not our fucking job to make strangers comfortable. Like, it took
what I love is my daughter's 3 and my son will be 12 in a month. And when she doesn't, like, I mean, they are so loving. They are so playful. It is the best, sweetest relationship like I've ever seen. I mean, I didn't have that with my brother for sure. But when she's not in the mood, she's not in the mood. And she'd be like, go away. Go away. And I'm like, you go, girl.
Yeah.
You go. You keep
Yep.
doing that. You
Yeah,
know?
because we rob girls of their voice. And when we do that, we have no intuition, and we are to rely on our intuition. Like
Yes.
that is so much a part of the fabric of who we are. But all those people from our childhood took the ability to listen to our own wants and needs and desires away by
Yeah.
forcing us and forcing us. Like the no agency over our bodies thing is something I'm still really pissed about, because why do I have to fucking hug someone because I'm related to them? I don't want to hug them. And even like as a child, I had a severe, like a lot of abuse and neglect in my childhood. So like I was not a hugger until the last year of my life. Like I don't like touch. I don't feel safe. And I will initiate if I like that, you know. But even like with my own daughter, who's very touchy, I had to teach her, if you want a hug, I want to give you a hug. You ask me for a hug, I'll give you a hug. But you can't just come and do these things to me, because I'm working through some shit in my body. And I personally don't like want a hug, but I want to hug you. But I need to be asked. You have to have consent to touch my body. And she
old
was
is
like,
she?
okay. She's 10 and a half.
Uh-huh.
But she gets it, you know. And then now though, she's always surprised, because since I've done so much healing, I am really open to hugs. And I'm like, can I have a hug? And I'm like loving on her, and she's still a little like, wow. But that's what I wanted to show her too, was you get to choose what you do with your body, and how
You get to choose.
Yes. And now I get to choose.
You do
like,
too, even if it's with your kid.
And that was the thing too, is I had to start that with her, because I had to start that when I worked in a school with a bunch of kids. They are very huggy little bastards, and that's great. But like after a while, I was touched out. And so I'd have to teach them, like, you have to ask people before you touch their bodies, period. Like, you don't get to touch a body just because it feels good for you. That doesn't mean it feels good for them. And then I started it with her, because it was just getting so out of control, because she's got just like a bunch of energy at nighttime, and it will look wild depending on what's going on. And it was just always very like wanting to be right next to me. And I was like, I love you, but this is not working for me.
Mm-hmm.
But it was good to get to teach her that, and to get to give my voice some credence, because even in my own house, I didn't feel safe to say, don't do that. I don't like it. You know what I mean?
How will that be for her when she's 15, 16, 18, 30, and some guy wants to feel her up, and she's like, don't touch me. I don't want that. I mean,
Absolutely.
I'll do that with my son as well. And I'm like, William, I mean, I am a toucher. I am a hugger. You can lay on me top to bottom. I will hug you and kiss you all day long. But then sometimes I don't want to, or like,
yeah,
tickle playing or whatever. And I'll be like, William, stop. William, I said stop. Like, stop means stop. No means no, because I want that in his head when he gets older and you know, puberty starts coming. Like, you know, I just
and that there's stages of consent, even like I'm okay with
yes before, and now it's no.
Exactly. And yes, it is very important. And I do think that that is our job, to teach our children that you have agency over yourself, they have agency over themselves, and it never clashes. Your yeses are yours, and your no's are yours, and theirs are theirs. And that's that. Because the part that really like just broke wide open in me when I started going through that part of healing was how many fucking situations I had landed in adolescence and young adulthood where I did shit because I didn't want to make them feel weird. And I didn't want a single ounce of it at all. And yet I didn't want to make this person who just did some fucked up shit to me uncomfortable, because that's what I was taught. My needs come last. So
it's easier just to go along with it and be like, oh, I don't want this. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. But see, that's the exact same thing we're doing when we're trying to date is, do they like me? Do they like me? Do they like me? You don't fucking like him. Why do you care if he likes you?
Yeah. You don't even know if you like him.
Exactly. You don't even like yourself, sis. Go like yourself before you try to make this man like you. My goodness.
Yeah. It's a little, you know, or the other one that's a little tricky, and I've had this happen too, is, you know, people dating, you might go out with somebody who you just truly enjoy, who's a good person, who's a nice guy. But then also, it's not my guy. and that's fine too. Like, we don't have to make everything fit. We don't have to have every person we go on 3 dates with be the person you're going to marry. Like,
Right.
I think of it a lot of times. And again, I don't know if you see this in your work, but it's like, I can think of no other scenario other than dating where you put that much pressure on meeting and connecting with a new person in 2 hours. Like, you shouldn't, at least, because if you're doing that, you got some bigger problems, like attachment
Well,
wise.
yeah, I was about to say I kind of did that with friendships too. I
Well, I
started
was
off real hot and heavy.
Friendships, or like if I started a new job tomorrow and 2 hours in, I'm like, Melissa and I are going to be BFFs. It's like, that is not fucking real.
Yes, I did that, Paige.
I know. I mean, we've all done it, but I'll tell you what, are you still friends?
It don't work out.
It doesn't work out. It's too much. It's too fat. It's too much expectation. So
yes, that's the word, expectation. Yeah.
Like dating, it's like you don't have to have everything figured out in 97 minutes. Like, it's like when you go to your job, it takes a while for your work bestie to like show themselves. You know what I mean? If it's going to be like, or when you go work out at the gym and then you're like, oh, I like this lady in this class and we stand by each other. Or like, I mean, people just got to give these things a minute. You know what I mean? If you want authenticity, if you want
absolutely,
quick and easy. I mean, okay, so it just rings a bell too from when we were just starting talking about being a girl's girl or not a girl's girl. I don't think I'm a girl. I'm not a boy's girl. I mean, I don't know what I am.
Right.
But I have not ever been the girl that needs to fit in with the other 10 matching girls, like sorority, matchy.
Right.
Like, and I just don't, again, I want to have a couple authentic relationships, even if that's one from high school, one from college, one from work, one from my neighborhood, then we're all 10 matchy that, like, I don't know how much of that's real, but I think a lot of women are just trying to fit in and be accepted and fit in. It's like, is that even you? Is that what you want?
Do you want like a crowd or do you want connection? And I think that like most people are just looking for the crowd because they don't know how to sit with themselves. So like, again, you go back to the fact that we're trained to connect through talking shit. Well, the matchy makes sense then. Like, you look at the mom talk, like I don't even know if you're on TikTok, but like the whole like Mormon mom talk.
I watched their thing, yeah.
I haven't watched any of it, but I see some of the clips and whatever on TikTok, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, these are a bunch of people who are desperate to feel loved, and they're doing all that, but it's all, I feel love through exchanging bullshit. And until you fix that wound and you know how to connect authentically with yourself first and then share that connection with others, that's what you're going to do. You're going to go match your besties all the time and talk shit about each other too. Whoever's not in the room is going to be talk shit about, and you're going to know that, but then you're still going to be hurt by it when you find out, even though you do it too. And it's a whole cycle. And I'm with you. Most of my like close friendships through adulthood have happened through the workplace. I have a friend from college, and the friend that I told you about a few minutes ago, I've actually known her since elementary. And I've got a couple that have been like, we worked together for a long time. Very core, small group. Now I had a bunch of like friendly acquaintances and whatever. I don't really talk to very many of them anymore because I'm busy. I work from home now. I'm in a bubble, whatever. I don't even talk to like my closest friends that much anymore. But to me, that's like a really good sign of growth because I was like always needing connection with somebody, like tethered. I needed to feel the string, like even if it was just, we're sending each other memes all day. I mean, I had a group chat when I was in education that was active 24/7. We were always connected and offended if you took a weekend off. Like, what's going on with so-and-so? When they didn't even talk to the group chat this weekend. Okay, well, what the fuck? Why are we expecting people to be tethered to us 24/7? Because I didn't know how to sit with myself. I didn't know how to connect with myself. How am I going to connect with others authentically? The only thing we're doing is talking shit and complaining about our job. So
yeah, that just reminds me too, when people say, well, you got to take some time and be alone before you start dating again, or take some time, la, la, la. And it's like, I don't think people understand. Again, it's like something people say, but I don't think people always understand what that means. And it's like, when you can get comfortable with two things. One, the discomfort of being alone or not invited out on a Friday night, you got to sit in the discomfort. And two, when you get comfortable with yourself, your decision meter just completely changes. Like less for the bullshit, more for the genuine connection. So like I don't want to go out with like I've had that too, like just friendships that I've had to like I just kind of have disconnected from because I'm like every fucking time we go out, it's like drink wine, bitch about the guys on the dating apps, tell the same stories, go home. I'm like I'm tired of that. Like I
That's
don't
a waste of time for me. Yeah. No, and that's the thing too, is like leaving a job in education and having so many friends there. Honey, I don't want to hear about your job. I left that for a reason. It was killing me inside. So like that, leave your job. Like if you're miserable, leave. But the solution can't be come talk to me about it all day because I left and it's triggering to hear your shit. So
yeah.
I think about too, like if I were dating, oh my God, I don't even know who the hell would be my type because I'm not going to have an unserious conversation. I'm going to get into spiritual. We're going to talk astrology. Like I can't have bullshit surface conversations. I think that's why I love this podcast so much because we fucking skip all that and we're just getting down to like, what are we passionate about? Let's talk about that. You know what I mean? But like you go and that's not normal. But okay, to your point about getting comfortable with the discomfort. If you were to think really hard, wasn't it so much harder in your mind to get comfortable with the discomfort than it actually is in real life? Like once you force yourself to do it, it's not as hard as you've been so afraid it was going to be, but we do all this shit to avoid feeling and it hurts us way worse than the actual feeling. Maybe that hour of loneliness or that hour of boredom, whatever it is, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that one for me is like a both and, you know, it's like, so I'm divorced, I have little kids, and I can't even remember now because it's been a number of years, but like the fear of being alone at the holiday or I'm not going to have my kids, like that does hurt somewhat.
Yes,
you just remind yourself like it's 24 hours out of a day that somebody picked and put on a calendar that somebody else created like 2,000 years ago. You know, all of my joy doesn't have to be defined by 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. on one day out of the year, you know? And so I think this is a good reminder too. And you probably tell your clients this, it's like, it's okay to be uncomfortable sometimes.
Yeah.
It's okay to be sad sometimes.
All the time. You know, it's not going to be up here in the clouds every minute of every day. You know, and I have to remind myself that all the time because I get into this really happy, joyful, peaceful place, and then some shit happens, and I'm like, bleh. And then I'm like, it's okay to feel that too. Like that's okay to be messy,
like,
just to muddle through.
Alive, and you know, and I think again we probably align on this though. But as you kind of evolve and do more healing, there's less things that make you feel shitty. So the ones that do, you're like, okay, now I'm going to pay attention to that a little bit more. Everything every day, you're like, it's like the boy who cried wolf. Like you don't know what's real and what's not real.
Yes. Learning to get curious. And you can be curious whenever it's not your entire existence. When something comes up that's like, that's different, then you can pay attention to it. And is it worth your time? That's where I'm at too, is I don't have to overanalyze everything. I've been working on that one really hard because I'm an analyzer. And then I have to remember my own advice to people. Like if you're up here, you're not in here. So why are you overthinking? Not everything requires a solution. Fucking release it and move on.
Yeah. Hug and release. Life's just a lot easier when you don't like ruminate on every single thing that's like happening, you know, like let yourself daydream or like let yourself read a book or let, you know, it's a lot way calmer way to live, you know. And I mean, this is another conversation, but I really think women we're just making ourselves sick externally or internally, like cancer, high, you know, this heart, that, you know, I mean, we're making ourselves sick because we internalize so much stuff that it's killing us, you know, and we don't have to keep doing that.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. We gotta quit sweating all the small shit, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so I saw your message that your battery's getting low.
I know, I didn't record it because I don't know what I was thinking. So I'm getting kind of low here.
No worries. This has been a great conversation. And if you want me to include anything specific in my show notes, you just feel free to send it over. I'll try to let you know the day before your episode airs. I'm usually decent at that. I don't always hit the mark, but I'll do my best.
Sure. How soon do you normally do them?
I think we're I had to cancel a bunch because of the flu. So I think you're maybe 3 weeks out.
Oh, okay, not like 3 months
Yeah.
or something.
No.
Okay,
No, I
amazing.
cut back
Well,
on availability. So
yeah, well, I love this conversation. I mean, we could have talked forever, I think. So
I know,
thanks
me too. And if you ever want to collab to do something, I'm looking for collab partners all the time. So
Okay, yeah, I'm kind of got.
page.
Oh, well, there's my warning. My battery is getting low. Well, let's.
All
Yeah,
right.
we'll keep in touch, and thank you again.
Emotionally unavailable.
Hey, what do you say? Listen, first and foremost, please make sure that you have provided this podcast with a 5-star rating on whichever platform that you are listening. If you want to support the show, please rate, like, and share. Also like, comment, and share on any social media posts that you see from me on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok. Please follow the podcast Facebook, Emotionally Unavailable Podcast. You can shop my fun online store or schedule a one-on-one with me at emotionallyunavailablepodcast.org. I'm offering what I'm calling non-traditional counseling, astrology readings, and tarot readings. And thank you so much for listening to the Emotionally Unavailable Podcast.
Emotionally unavailable. Emotionally unavailable.